If you have an ADHD brain, trying to find the right calendar app can feel, well, pretty hopeless. But what if the problem isn't actually you? What if it's the tool? Today, we're going to look at some amazing new apps that are built to work with your brain, not against it, to finally turn that daily chaos into a bit of calm. So let's dive in. Does this sound familiar? You stare at a calendar that's just packed with appointments and things you have to do, and you just feel completely overwhelmed? If that's you, trust me, you are not alone. For so many of us, traditional calendars just don't click with how our brains are wired. So, what's actually going on here? Why is it such a struggle? Well, it really boils down to a couple of huge challenges that pretty much every standard calendar just completely ignores. Let's get into the science behind it all. Okay, first up, we've got this thing called time blindness. Have you ever had a 3 p.m. meeting? You've known about it all day, and then suddenly you look at the clock and bam, it feels like it's happening in 5 minutes. That right there, that's time blindness. And it's so important to get this. It isn't about being forgetful. It's a real, genuine difficulty for your brain to feel time passing intuitively. And then you have executive dysfunction. The best way I've heard this described is like the CEO of your brain is just permanently on a coffee break, It's the reason you can have a to-do list with like 3 simple things on it and still waste an entire hour just trying to decide which one to start first. It makes planning and prioritizing feel absolutely impossible, like climbing a mountain without any gear. So here's the bottom line. Standard calendars are just built on a foundation that doesn't work for us. They assume you feel time in a straight line, they totally separate your to-do list from your actual schedule, and honestly, they often just add to the visual noise, which just makes it even more likely you'll just shut down and ignore it all. But, and this is the important part, there is some really good news here. The solution is not to just try harder with tools that are basically broken for us. No, it's about finding tools that are designed completely differently, and specifically ones that use a visual-first approach, which it turns out is backed by some pretty fascinating research. Okay, now this is where things get really interesting. So a study back in 2018 completely flipped the script on this. What they found was that for certain kinds of visual tasks, people with ADHD were actually faster at processing the information than the people without it. Yeah, you heard that right, faster. So what's behind this? Well, it's likely connected to hyperfocus, that incredible, intense state of concentration you can get into. And what this shows is so powerful. If a tool can visually grab your attention, it can actually turn what feels like a challenge into a real-life superpower. Okay, so what does this mean we're actually looking for in an app? Well, here's the checklist. We need something that makes time visible, something that puts your to-dos right there on your schedule. It has to be simple to use, give you reminders you actually can't ignore, and help you block out time for specific tasks. That's the magic combo. All right, with that checklist in hand, let's take a look at 3 of the absolute best apps for 2026 that are really nailing these principles. First up, we've got Finex. Now, this is important. This app wasn't just tweaked for neurodivergent users. It was built for us from the ground up. The entire idea is to give you one single place for your whole life, but designed from day one to avoid that awful feeling of overwhelm. The real power of Finex is how it just seamlessly integrates everything. So if you are sick and tired of your to-do list living on one app and your calendar living in another, this is for you. Everything, your tasks, your events, it's all on one single timeline. It even has AI that helps you figure out what to do next, the reminders actually work, and you can get going right away without some crazy complicated setup. All right, next up is Timo. And listen, if time blindness is your arch nemesis, then Timo is basically designed to be your superhero sidekick. Its whole reason for existing is to make time something you can actually see and feel. So how does it do that? Well, Timo uses all these cool icons and colors to lay out your day like a visual story. It is fantastic for building out routines, like your morning or evening routine, because you can literally watch a countdown timer tick away for one task before it flows right into the next. Oh, and it's got an AI that can help you break down that one massive, overwhelming thing you've been avoiding. Now, it's not perfect for everyone. As one user, August Wolfram, pointed out, it's a really good app, but some people wish it integrated a little better with things like Apple Reminders or Siri. And that really highlights the trade-off, right? Timo is laser-focused on its visual strengths. And finally, What if you could just have a personal assistant who planned your entire day for you? I mean, for real. Well, that's basically the promise of our third app, Motion. This tool takes automation to a whole other level. The core idea behind Motion is honestly pretty wild. You just dump in everything you need to do, and its AI builds your entire schedule for you. If you're a freelancer or a student whose schedule's always changing, this is a game changer. A meeting gets pushed back, Motion automatically reshuffles your entire day in seconds. It just completely removes that mental load of constantly having to replan. And believe me, the impact here can be massive. We heard from a lawyer named Hannah S., who said that for her, juggling a huge workload with ADHD, having that scheduling handled automatically was, in her words, a total game changer. Okay, so we've looked at three amazing but also very different tools. So how in the world do you pick the right one for you? Let's break it down and make this really simple. All right, let's put them up side by side. You've got Phoenix, which is your true all-in-one. It's got the tasks, the calendar, the smart AI. Then there's Timo, the absolute master of visual routines, but a little lighter on the deep task management. And finally, Motion, the undisputed king of just letting AI schedule everything for you. So let's break it down even further. If your number one enemy is time blindness, you're going to want to start with either Timo or Phoenix. Now, if the very act of planning is what just completely drains your battery, you have got to give Motion a try. And if you're just done juggling a million different apps and you need one central place for everything, Phoenix and Motion are your two strongest bets, for sure. Look, at the end of the day, the best app is the one that solves your biggest headache. So the question I really want to leave you with is this. What's the one thing that would make the biggest difference for you? Is it finally being able to see your time of a timeline? Is it having an AI just handle all the scheduling? Or is it just having everything in one simple place? Figuring that out, that's your first real step from chaos to calm.